Hi, and welcome to Golden Years, a new show on Summer TV. My name is Mildrene Volcy, and today's show we will be talking about how to protect your loved one from natural disaster. Natural disasters such as cold weather, since we are entering cold season. But before I start the show, let me say something about our show, The Golden Years. Our show is designed to teach, also while learning to live. The show will be joining with perspective guests to explore different subjects. In today's show, I will be discussing natural disaster and how to help a loved one in account of that disaster. Let's say, for example, cold weather. Cold weather. Since we are in cold weather season, like I said again, during the period of winter from December to March, at least at the end of March, we somehow should expect snow days. So it is better to prepare in those days. How do you prepare? Then we will have a guest today, Dr. Smith. She will be talking about how to protect your loved one from any disaster, what to do and what not to do. We will be giving her a call. Please, we're gonna welcome Dr. Smith. Hi, again, thank you. Welcome back. This is Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yes, I am a clinical psychologist located in Miami, Florida, and I have a specialization in disaster-related psychology, preparedness, prevention, response, recovery, critical incident, disaster, and climate change, also resilience, and also in working with the elderly. And one of my areas of expertise, one of my experiences rather, combined both areas of expertise when I was a consultant to the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine Center for Disaster Epidemiology and Emergency Preparedness, where they had me help develop curriculum for responders around the state. And part of the curriculum that I helped develop and present with the former Assistant Surgeon General of the United States, Dr. Brian Flynn, had to do with emergency preparedness, disasters, and the elderly.
Okay, and today we're gonna have a few questions for you, such as we are in the East Coast, you're in Florida, but we are in the East Coast where it's very cold, and sometimes since it is in cold season and cold weather, we will be expecting some snow. Therefore, my first question to you from one of our watcher, she has her mother, but she lives alone, and but the thing is, she doesn't live with her mother. But since her mother lives alone, it's very difficult for her mother to do things on her own, especially on the outside. What help can she get, especially from the city?
Well, each city has their own services and programs available, so not knowing what city she lives in, I don't know what help she might be able to get from where she lives. It is different in each location. In many places, they have calls that come in that they will make to older adults who live alone, especially each day, to see if they are okay. She could ask if they have that program. She could sign up for it, and she could ask if they do have assistance that they can give her. There are some places that have assistance in paying heating bills. The National Energy Assistance Referral Service, or National Energy Assistance Referral Project, has some assistance in paying for heating bills in different places around the country. and it would be worth checking with that. Their telephone number is 866-674-6327. There may also be information that she could get from the Elder Care Locator, which telephone number is 800-677-1116. That's 800-677-1116. And online it is eldercare.acl.gov.
And that is nationwide, right?
As far as I know,
Also, as you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there is also a place to check in with the National Association of Area Agencies on Aging.
Okay, yes. I'm aware of
That
that.
telephone number is 202-872-0888. That's 202-872-0888. And they have listings of the various agencies throughout the country in different cities that assist with assisting older adults.
Okay. What would be the best way, or what would be, give us a tips on how to prepare for a natural disaster such as hurricane?
Well, for older adults or for everyone?
For adults, for people who have an old adult at home, a loved one at home, or yes.
Okay. Well, there are some key things that need to be done. First of all, making sure that all of their medications not only are available for a day or a week, but for possibly up to 2 weeks to a month afterward, because many pharmacies, if they go through a hurricane, are shut down
Oh,
afterward
okay. Yes.
for a while, if there's no electricity coming in. If the older adult is able to travel, it would be a very good idea for family members to have an evacuation plan. Not that they come up with at the last minute, but an idea of what they would do if a hurricane was coming. How would we get our mother or father, older family member to a safe place if we needed to get them out of the place where they're living? And making sure that they have the medications to go with them, of course, is an important part of that. And if they stay in the same place where they're living, then there is, of course, a need to make sure that the windows and doors have not just shutters on them, but, storm prevention shields up that typically, if you don't have built-in impact-resistant weatherproof windows and doors, then there are metal shields that can be put up on the windows and doors, and those need to go up to be sure that the wind doesn't take out a window or a door, because if that happens, that can create a lot of danger. Also, the roofs need to be kept up to date, not as a storm is coming, but they need to be in good shape leading into storms, because if roofing comes off, it can cause a lot of devastation in the home and danger for people as well. And if the person is staying in the home, in addition to those things to prepare, it's really important to have water supply in bottles, extra ice on hand to be able to put into coolers, to take the food that they have in refrigerators or freezers out and put them into a place where they are going to be preserved for a while. And also foods lined up, that on hand, that are in cans and things that don't require a lot of cooking, because if the electricity goes out then they won't have the ability to cook in their homes. Even if they have natural gas stoves or something, they still might not be able to cook in the home safely. And so to have things that can be eaten just by, taking them out of the refrigerator, keeping them in a cool place where they stay, where they don't rot, or taking them out of cans to be able to eat, that's very important to do. And also making sure that someone is with them going through the storm if they're staying in their own home, and or that family or friends check in on them as soon as the storm is over.
Okay. What about our elderly or people who doesn't really have any, because you mentioned something about meeting a place if there's such a disaster. What about if that person don't have anybody close by? What would be the safest things to do?
Well, if they are able to care for themselves, which hopefully if they're living alone and they don't have people nearby, they are able to care for themselves.
Yes.
There are a few things that can be done. If they have social organizations they're a part of or churches that they're a part of, to let the leaders of those organizations know that they will need assistance going to them. Also, I know throughout Florida, and I assume this is the case in other states, I don't know that for certain, but throughout Florida, we have special centers, evacuation centers, that people can go to. We have special medical needs where you have to sign up with the public health department in advance, so that if a storm comes through, they will send out someone to pick you up. They will already know what medications you need and have them on hand. They have backup electrical services, generators, so that the electricity stays on through the generators, and the evacuation shelters still have air conditioning going and that kind of thing. They have nurses, doctors, pharmacists. I've been a therapist, a psychologist in such a shelter, and they have also police and fire department, and Red Cross comes in and prepares food. So it is a very safe place to be if you have any kind of medical needs that need to be attended to during a storm. But it is very important to check in advance, and through the public health department, at least in Florida, that's how it's done, and be sure that you're signed up for it, because if not, they may be full and not able to take you if you just go there, or if a family member just drops you off there.
Okay.
They won't have your medications on hand if you're not signed up in advance for it.
Dr. Smith, we're gonna have a few minutes. We're gonna have a break for a few minutes, for a few seconds. Just thank you so much for your help. Just give me 1 second. We're gonna have a few minutes, okay?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
It's an onion.
Hi, Dr. Smith. Welcome back. I think
Thank
that
you.
we left off where we were talking about if somebody we have people like that, they can take care of themselves, but they do still consider as elderly, and sometimes they don't have family close by. They don't have kids, whether they don't have no kids, no children, or they have any family close by, and we wanted to make sure that they are safe in case of any natural disaster. You can go ahead, please.
Yes, and you had specifically asked about hurricanes. I believe that's what I understood you to say.
Yes.
In addition to the special medical needs shelters, there are also evacuation shelters that are open to the public, and those you don't have to sign up for in advance. You just have to go to them and
Okay.
you know take the clothing you need, the medications that you need yourself, etc. And with other natural disasters, it's somewhat different because there's not the warning time that comes with hurricanes. Like if it's a tornado, there's not that much warning time in advance, or a
Yes.
fire or something like that.
Yes.
God forbid, people go through those, but unfortunately they do. And so to have those things going into the seasons when those things are more likely to happen, to have the safety devices in place that you need, extra batteries in the house for flashlights and other battery-operated lighting devices, backup systems to keep your cell phones charged up, etc., that don't depend on the electricity coming into the house, so that if something happens and you're in your own home, you can call 911 for assistance. Even if there's not any indication that a disaster is coming your way, going into the season when they're more likely to happen, having the extra water on hand, having the extra food on hand, like we were talking about, those things, letting people that you do know that if something's coming, to please check in on you, etc. Those things are all very important.
Yeah, I love the idea just because if you know you're in season of it, it's best to be ready.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Even in hurricane country, where we have usually a week or 10 days, knowing that it could come to us still is the emphasis here to have those things ready for yourself, an evacuation plan, all of the extra supplies that we've talked about, etc. To have those on hand at the beginning of hurricane season.
Okay. Now let's talk about people or family who have a loved one or are bedbound, and in a way where those loved ones just simply do everything in the bed. So, and especially if there's a natural disaster, whatever it is, people tend to go. I'm not gonna. People tend to go crazy and not thinking, because they have. I think it's like a survival mode. But what can they do, and what can they do, and how they can do it to make sure they protect the one that cannot help themselves?
Well, hopefully they will be there with them, or have a caretaker there with them, or a company that provides that kind of care, having hired someone to be with them when they're not there themselves, to make sure that they have everything provided for them that's needed. Now, again, in Florida, the various counties have the special medical needs shelters, and they could be taken to one of those via an ambulance or something.
Okay.
And there would be, beds there that are, hospital beds with medical personnel there to care for them if it's going through a hurricane. Those special medical needs shelters are open.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Coming to season, we have all type of seasons. During the season, there's a pro and con on those. What are the tips? What are the tips to prepare, or a family? I'm talking about in general, to prepare for some sort of disaster, a loss of electricity for weeks, or hurricane or storms and things like that. What are the main things that everyone or anybody should have at home to make sure if anything happened, they should be prepared?
That's an excellent question. We've talked about the water, food supplies, batteries, etc. But there also is a need to have extra cash on hand, because If the electricity goes out and stays out over a period of time following a major disaster coming through, then you can't use credit cards or the ATM because the credit card machines won't be working. The ATMs won't be working. So it's very important to have cash on hand. It's also very important to have your cars filled with gas as soon as possible when you hear that there's a major storm coming, because the gas stations in the area typically run out of gas the closer you get to the storm. And also to find a place to safely keep your car if you don't have your own garage. And again, and also, this can't be emphasized too much. It is so important to make sure that whether it's an elderly person or a younger person that relies on certain medications, that you have at least 2 weeks to up to a month supply of those medications that are required to keep someone healthy. And also to prepare the house with the safety devices, the shutters on the windows, etc., the hurricane shutters on the windows, etc.
We if there's any storm or any emergency coming up, I'm pretty sure, or I'm pretty sure any state it does something, they always announce it, or they always said, okay, state shut down or something like that. But what about those people that don't believe in there, and when things happen and they kind of feel like they were not prepared, or those people that extra prepared, and when things did not come out as bad as they thought, and they kind of disappointed. What I'm coming to is about how, if I do, to me, if something going to happen, if people or the state you live in, and they said, okay, something happened, you should believe it. You should believe in it is going to happen. What about those people that don't believe? I would say they don't really take that seriously.
There are many people like that, unfortunately, who don't prepare in advance and just go through it and then suffer even more so after it hits. There can be, it increases the likelihood of severe illness, injury, or even death if you're not fully prepared, not necessarily from, your house being hit and things happening to endanger you in the midst of it, but if you don't have the preparation in advance of the medications, the food and water supplies, etc., then you're more vulnerable to the impact of the weather changes that occur, the lack of cooling in your house during that time, before the electricity comes back on. If you're in a extremely warm area, if you're in an extremely cold area, then you need to be prepared in advance for the possibility of heat going out if a storm comes through and takes out the electricity. And so it really increases the vulnerability, especially of older people and children, but of all people, if you don't have the supplies on hand that you need. Now, a lot of people, when they've gone through hurricanes here and they haven't been prepared for it, they will go as quickly as they can to places where emergency providers bring in water, trucks full of water, or food and that sort of thing. But often hundreds and hundreds of people line up to get those things, so you can't be assured that you will get them. And it is, a very serious thing to prepare for. And if it doesn't happen, then you've got the supplies that you need for the following year during the season. So it's not a bad thing to prepare, even if it doesn't happen. In fact, it's wonderful if it doesn't happen.
Uh, Being an expert, Dr. Smith, do you see the climate is really changing in terms of we have more storms, we have more rain, we have more snow, we have, do you see a change? Do you follow those things?
Yes, I do see a change, and yes, I do follow those things. I'm affiliated with many climatologists and experts in the resilience changes in climate, global warming, more storms, more intense storms, whether it's the cold storms in the winter in northern places or a severe weather storms in the summer in the more tropical places. Also, sea level rise and the increase in ocean temperatures. That's a very real thing. I know the increase in the water temperatures in many places, the ocean temperatures, and freshwater temperatures increasing in many places also is increasing the amount of bacteria in the waters, flesh-eating bacteria in many places, which can be life-threatening. These things are happening. It's not that they might happen as we go forward. They are already happening in many places, as well as more flooding and, the things that have been predicted are already starting to happen in many places.
Okay. Okay. We are come to our end, Dr. Smith. Any last thing would you like to add for us?
Well, I would like to thank you for addressing this important topic. It is so important for people to pay attention and not just get the warnings that, oh, this might happen or that might happen and live in a state of fear, but to pay attention to, okay, here's what I can do to prepare for these things. That there's more and more information out there about what communities can do to prepare for the changes that are predicted in their areas. There's more and more information out there about what individuals can do to prepare their homes, have the right supplies on hand, etc. And to search those things, take them seriously, and take those steps will increase not only our Earth's resilience, but the resilience of individuals and families throughout the Earth. And so again, I thank you so much for addressing this important topic, and I also thank you for letting me be a part of this, and I'm just very honored and thankful that you've included me in this.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. There you have it. This was Dr. Smith. We were talking about how to protect your loved one against any natural disaster. Encore une fois, have a good night.